Viewer discretion is advised. Everyone knows that if there's a good side, there's a bad side. If there's a hero, there's a villain. And if there's a mass vigilante, there's a psychotic clown. The Joker is arguably the most famous comic book villain in history, and his counterpart Batman is equally as famous. These two have been duking it out over who rules Gotham for nearly a century. Joker made his comic debut on April 25th, 1940. In Batman #1, almost a full year after Batman's debut. The original intention for the character was to be a wacky, crime-driven clown who terrorized Gotham from time to time. Over the decades, the Joker character was changed, and soon various backstories were built for the character. A classic rendition is Red Hood, or Jack Napier, but no one identity has ever taken, and the Joker has become a nearly nameless monster who most likely killed Bruce Wayne's parents on that fateful night none of us are allowed to forget. Eventually, these comic book characters made their way onto television in Adam West's portrayal of Batman, where Cesar Romano portrayed the Joker. At this point, the Joker is still a goofball of a villain, until Tim Burton casts Jack Nicholson as Jack Napier, the Joker, in the '89 classic Batman. Jack Nicholson is a terrific actor who can nail any acting role that involves being unhinged. This changed how the audience perceived the Joker and enjoyed this more murderous gangster persona. Following Nicholson, other famous actors have had their chances, like Mark Hamill, voicing the Joker in the animated adventures of Batman, and another live-action 2008 adaptation of The Dark Knight where Heath Ledger played the Joker. Heath took everything Nicholson had done and amplified it, but Heath's Joker would have no name and no background, just a random threat that appeared in Gotham. Heath would later win an Academy Award posthumously, cementing Joker as an icon we perceive today. Every time Hollywood decides to use the Joker, people around the globe watch curiously. Can they outperform the last guy? Can they live up to Nicholson and Ledger? We've seen Jared Leto's bizarre attempt, the Fox show Gotham's multiple attempts, and that awesome deleted scene from the Batman. Eventually, the Joker would become so popular and a standout from the rest of the Rogues Gallery that he would have his own movie. Joker tells the story of Arthur Fleck, one of the variants of the character who lives in 1980s Gotham, where the streets are lined with garbage and crime is rampant. Thomas Wayne is running for mayor in a city where people fear the police and want civil peace. Arthur is a terrible clown actor who struggles to smile but can't seem to have a good day. He does have bigger dreams of becoming a stand-up comedian and becoming beloved in the public eye, but something that holds him down is his mental illness, which can manifest in manic laughter at random moments, often creating tension between him and the rest around him. When Arthur returns home at night, he watches a late-night talk show with his idol, Murray Franklin, who he daydreams about being on the show and in the spotlight next to him. One day at work, one of his clown friends, Randall, hands him in secret a pistol for self-defense. After accidentally dropping the gun in front of a bunch of children in a hospital gig, Arthur is fired and takes the long train ride home. On the train, there are 3 drunk yuppies who have taken an interest in a passenger. Arthur, trying to mind his own business, begins to having a psychotic episode of laughter that attracts the attention of the boys who begin attacking him. Arthur, still holding his gun, kills the yuppie scum. This gains media coverage that also brings riots and looters to the streets of Gotham. The people praising this clown for killing the rich businessmen. Arthur begins to smile. Arthur meets the girl next door, begins a romantic relationship with her, and actively goes to stand-up clubs to write notes on joke writing. Finally, feeling very optimistic, Arthur attempts stand-up himself, which goes sideways fast. Not knowing it was filmed, Arthur, watching The Murray Show at home, saw the footage broadcast, which received negative audience reception. Murray at one point even called Arthur a joker. Arthur begins questioning his life and asks his mother about his father, in which she says his father is Thomas Wayne, who hasn't offered any help to her or Arthur. Miss Fleck falls seriously ill during this encounter and was hospitalized. Because of this information, there's a creepy sequence where Arthur interacts with a young Bruce Wayne through the Wayne Fence Manor. Arthur begins doing cheap magic tricks to lure the attention of Bruce. Remember, kids, don't talk to strangers. Before Alfred steps in between the two, dropping some damaging intel about Arthur's mother, some mental sickness, and that she's fabricated everything. Arthur reacts by violently choking Alfred before letting go and running away. Arthur eventually makes his way to Arkham, where he steals documents that show that Alfred wasn't lying about his mother and that Thomas Wayne wasn't his dad. He was adopted and abused by his mother's boyfriend at the time, which caused some serious head trauma to him. Soon, Arthur finds his reality falling apart. He suffocates his mother and discovers he's never had a relationship with the girl next door. Now, all alone, Arthur gets a phone call from The Murray Show asking him to be on. Getting ready for his big local TV spot, Arthur's friends Randall and Gary swing by to see how Arthur's holding up after being fired, when Arthur has another episode and violently kills Randall, leaving Gary alive and very frightened of him. Arthur then now has his musical number on the stairs, before two detectives track him down and Arthur runs away to the show. During the show, Arthur admits he's the one who murdered the yuppies. Even though Murray's managers tell him to end the show, Murray continues to question and belittle Arthur, to the point where Arthur uses the gun from before to execute Murray on live television. Arthur then is in the back of a police car during another outbreak of riots. The cop car is hit, and the rioters bring Arthur out to place him on the car, where he awakens and stands before them, using the blood from the accident of his makeup. Then there is a scene of Crime Alley that shows the classic moment where a random rioter finds the Waynes and kills them, leaving a young Bruce Wayne alone. Arthur is now in Arkham, laughing at a joke he refuses to tell out loud, with the final shot of him leaving bloody footprints in the hall as he tries to escape guards. So how did this film fare during its release? It made over $1 billion at the box office, making it the highest grossing rated R film, beating out the first Deadpool until Mr. Poole returned with his bug Wolverine. The critics' reception was mixed to favorable. There was a fear in the American government that the Joker character who tends to reach an unsavory group of people, and they were horrified that this might inspire the group of people to reenact crimes in public. There was also a difficult moment for some when Arthur fit himself into a refrigerator, sparking controversy. Children might see this rated R film and think it's okay to do that. I don't know, man. A fascinating part about this film is their choice of director, Todd Phillips, who's made a name for himself directing classic comedic films such as Old School and creating one of the highest grossing comedies of all time, The Hangover. After the world became, in his terms, woke, Phillips lost hope in making comedies and vowed to never make another one again. Instead, wanted to focus on his character study of a film. But his love for comedy isn't lost or forgotten. It's interesting that Arthur's dream is to become a stand-up comedian, after failing to be a clown who has to force himself to smile, along with a few actual comedians showing up in the film, such as Sam Morril and the fantastic Mark Maron. Joaquin Phoenix is another strange choice. Mr. Phoenix is no stranger to the limelight, but is such a weird actor that he at one point tried to push this identity as a rap artist. I still don't know if he was being serious or just having fun. Phoenix often makes more art house films, with elaborate complex characters who have deep layered issues. He even expressed interest in doing a project like this, and Phillips and his co-writer Silver wrote the script with Joaquin in mind. Initially, upon my recent viewing of this film, the surprises and the plot twists didn't hit as hard as they did. Yes, you can say, well, you've already known what's gonna happen next. But I was searching for something else. Some sort of emotional depravity that would lash out in response to an overwhelming negative environment this world generates. But it wasn't there. And for the acting, I don't get the interpretive dancing sequences. Is he trying to show me as an audience member that he can be a beautiful butterfly? Or is he just bad at dancing? By the time the third act comes around, I feel exhausted of Arthur's troubles, and notice there's no way of helping this poor soul. But when he receives the phone call that he's wanted on The Murray Show, and his true aggression rears its ugly head, I found that the final piece of the story is what I came here for. The raw and personal killing of his co-worker Randall, while the other co-worker Gary is spared due to his kindness towards Arthur, his unforgettable moment in the spotlight on a night talk show, and the writers carrying him around like a false messiah for justice. It elevates this comic book movie to the next level as a proper art house exhibition. For the first two acts, I would have given this film a 3 out of 5, but then that killer no filler climax fucking got me. It pulled at my cinephile heartstrings that put a smile on my face. 4 out of 5 stars. We mustn't forget that Joker is still a comic book movie, and for some reason that feels like a cop-out. Not all superhero films are made equally. Look at Avengers Endgame compared to Green Lantern. Though Joaquin's performance, we can see a very upsetting portrayal of mental issues going undiagnosed, government services being defunded, and a broken healthcare system, and the abuse of law enforcement. Joker is the story of a girl who wanted to drown this whole world with his laughter, but found a rotting corpse of an accepting society that forced him to break free from his shell. A person who should have been taken to doctors and prescribed meds, along with weekly therapy sessions, instead turned to what he grew up knowing: violence. Now, how do you make a sequel to this standalone film? And yes, it was definitely intended to be a standalone film. I don't know, but it seems that Todd Phillips and Joaquin Phoenix think they have more story to tell, with the sequel bringing in more beloved Batman characters like Harley Quinn and Harvey Dent. I hope everyone enjoyed this review. I would like you to tell me what you think about this movie. Is it a pretentious work of a superhero villain, or is it a type of film that makes you go, wow, they can change up the exhausted comic book movie formula?